a huge announcement this past week with Jasper's announcement of brand voice. And I think a big catalyst behind brand voice and why this is a big move on Jasper's part is that often generative AI can be generic. And if you're writing content consistently across multiple platforms with team members in different channels and different products that you're working with, that you're serving, if you're an agency or a marketing team, or you're just a creator that has multiple projects that you're involved with, brand voice and staying on brand across the board is critical, especially in the world when everyone can just throw in a prompt and I think it's magic. I have this content that ultimately might sound good on the surface, but does it really capture your brand's voice and tone? If it doesn't, if your brand sounds generic because it sounds like everybody else's generative AI generated content that isn't really honed to a specific brand message, then your message can get lost and you won't resonate with your audience to the same level at which you might be able to. And that's what we're going to be getting into today and how to do that. You guys know a little bit about us, why generative AI and brand voice are important. It all comes down to consistency, authenticity, and using AI to help you with doing that in your process. And so what I'm going to be breaking down is like really starting this whole process from scratch today. Content strategy. Okay, where does AI make sense? Where do I really need to like manipulate it a lot more and put a lot more of my focus and attention in to the process. But ultimately, it's about finding the balance, and that right balance between that creativity and authenticity is key. And you've probably already seen it too. You can tell when somebody's just out there, just in most cases, like if someone just throws up some random, write a blog post about dog supplements, it comes back as like a very generic blog post about supplements. And as these tools get better and better, sometimes in some cases, you'll get very good results depending on how much prompting and how much information you've given about your brand in the first place, versus those that are just like going and throwing up the genericest of content of all. And at the end of the day, it comes down to that collaboration between humans and AI inside of your content production process. How do you train your human brain to work with the AI brain? And there's really three key things that I want everyone to keep in the back of their mind while we're going through this that are paramount to all of our success in this fast-paced industry. All right, y'all. Here we are staring into the face of a dynamic template. What type of template do you want to create? Now, what I'm going to do here throughout the rest of this workshop, I'm going to go ahead and click on my cursor highlighter so that you guys can keep up with where I'm clicking on things. And I'm going to do my best to articulate what I'm doing verbally throughout the process. You guys can see where I'm clicking, what I'm clicking, and when. And so I'm assuming you guys all are logged into Jasper at this point. You're going to end up in a few places. One, you're going to end up on your dashboard on the left-hand side. You're going to end up in templates. You could end up in chat. You've got your projects. You've got recipes. Hopefully you still do have those. You've got your art. And then you've got your brand voice. See, this is new as well. So with Jasper's brand voice, you're going to be able to write and your tone of voice and pull up actual facts when you're writing. So pretty cool. There's a few current limitations that I'm going to read out as we get into here. One is that at present, the templates have a 1,500 character limit for the short form memories that we're going to be uploading. And I covered this on the training yesterday, which means that we can have shorter form memories that are 1,500 characters, and we can have longer form documents that can be accessed inside of Jasper Chat. And so when we're accessing the longer form documents, we're going to need to be very specific, but keeping in mind that this is like a very ongoing development of this tool. It just launched this week for the entire community of Jasper, and a lot of really cool updates on the road here. And as you can see inside of my brand voice section, I've got a few things. I've got my brand voice up here. I've got voices, I've got memories, and then you've got your voices, which you can see I've got two here. We've got a default tone. And then we've got a few different examples, one SideHustle, one Pitchlandia. And what I'm going to do is essentially, I'm going to delete these few because these were just examples from previously. I'm going to start with just one tone because I like having this tone right here for my brand. But first thing I'm going to actually do, starting a project from scratch. Let's say I'm an agency and I was tasked with all of the marketing for this new game that is going to be launching on Kickstarter. I'd interview the founders and say, hey, cool, you guys got a really great game. Well, we're going to do like a new brand launch. We're going to do all of this cool stuff for your brand. but we're going to start from scratch. And so if that's the case, the first thing I'm going to do as like an agency coming in and taking on a new client is I'm going to go to my projects in the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to select new project and enter manually SideHustle 2.0 game launch, or let's just say game. The primary summary of this goal would be is to create all content relevant to the brand and product. SideHustle, the party game for entrepreneurs. So I'll say, all right, cool. I can create this right now. Go ahead and select assets. And now select assets to be generated for you. Interesting. I'm not really sure what all of these I would need, but maybe I would want to say I want to generate like a press release recipe for this blog, a landing page, a promo email sequence. If I click generate project, let's see, last modified. So look at this. Jasper literally just created a blog for this based on nothing more than me just like creating a new project and a game and like the name of the game. So that's cool, but I haven't really dialed in or given it any specific information about the game just yet. So I'm going to go back up to the upper left-hand corner, exit out of that section. Here we go. My projects. So now I got my new project. I'm just going to delete these real quick if I can. Now we're not going to worry about that right now. So brand voice. I'm going to start off the brand new product. I'm going to go to my brand voice and I'm going to start building my brand voice and memory bank. So here we have voice name. I'm going to say SideHustle 2.0. And then I can either paste a URL, and I did get word that Jasper is actually crawling all of the different pages on the URLs, not just the main page, earlier today, because it was a question that was coming up yesterday. And I also have the option to paste just branded text of 2,000 characters that I have a feeling that pulling from the web page is going to be a little bit more on point. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go over to playsidehustle.com. And here on the website, I can select that website name. Make sure it's the right website, see the reviews people are leaving on. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'm going to go back to brand voice, paste the URL right in here and select add voice. Now, what Jasper is doing is going to the URL playsidehustle.com and it's scanning it and the pages and it's picking up the tone, the style, understanding how you write. We don't have a huge blog on it. And because basically the site is basically opting in here, opting in, and then you guys can play a free digital version of the game. And so I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Jasper's also scanning this page too. So while Jasper is doing that, it's learning the style and it's figuring out specific information, specific personality points that it's going to target from that URL. And so if you don't have your own URL for a product or a brand or example that you want Jasper to reference, but you have a brand that you really resonate with that is in line with your tone, with your style, with how you want to communicate, or with a client as well, then you can go use that brand and pull it in. And so you can see here for this new voice SideHustle 2.0, the style guide is emphasized as casual, conversational, enthusiastic, using storytelling, humor, testimonials, descriptive language, calls to action, and consistency to engage readers and promote a fun, creative, and innovative aspect of the product. Now, I would say that's pretty good way of articulating some things that I might say. But if I wanted to add and change the name, I might say something like more humorous and outgoing. If I click update, updating your voice will be notified. So I'm seeding in a little bit more content right here that, again, Jasper is going to take and it's going to build back in. Personality connects with engagement, emojis, exaggerations, pop culture references, See, even just a little bit of adjustments right there, and I see that Jasper's taking that and crafting a different version of the tone. And so that's essentially how you get like Jasper to pull and create this voice here, which like honestly, and from what I understand from the Jasper team, is like this can have quite a bit of impact with not, it don't need like thousands of words to describe a tone of voice, but you do want to put the right words in here. And so friendly and approachable, using humor, conversational tone, emojis, exaggeration, pop culture references, and clear calls to action to connect personally and encourage engagement with its audience. I'm good with that. And again, this is like a brand I'm involved with. And so I need to determine whether or not this is something that reflects the brand and style here. And so that's one element of it. That's your initial brand voice. And depending on how many different brands or different clients you're working with, you can have multiple brand voices and your account will scale up depending on how many of those brand voices you need with new team members and such on your team.